Camera number 352 of 365, and we have the Pentax K2. Requires batteries to operate, although it does have a manual. I think it's a 125th of a second shutter speed, but to use the camera for its full benefit, we need to insert some batteries, which are housed in the bottom here, so we'll just go ahead and do that. So we have two LR44 batteries in the little cradle here, with the positive uppermost, and then it goes into the camera, and then we screw that down. If it will work, there we go. Notice that the only thing on the base is the tripod mount and the little release, advanced release, so that we can put our film back into our canister. Looking at the camera, you can clearly see that we're transitioning between the Spotmatic era, moving towards the Pentax M era, if you like. So, but it's a really nice, very well built, significantly heavier than a ME, but then it is bigger as well. So we have on the top, actually let's look at the lens release first of all. Lens release is in its usual position here for this sort of camera of this era. We're into the Pentax K mount here, manual focus. And while we've got that off, we have to just show you the slightly convoluted method of setting a film speed along this collar here. And we have this little release that we push in, I believe, and then we rotate it to our given film speed with the red dot just there. But at the same time, over the other side, we have to be careful, because over the other side we have exposure compensation, and we have to set that to 1. If we're not careful and it's not on 1, then when we set our film speed, this could change the exposure, because effectively by moving with the two black handles here, exposure compensation, all we're really doing is changing our film speed. So if we set our film speed and we found out that we've perhaps not like I have here, I've got exposure compensation on, we move it back, well, I've effectively now changed my my film speed. So just beware of that, because it can put the meter out, and it's worth knowing that. While we're on the front here, our self-timer, which let's just wind that on. I'll turn the microphone round so. And then we have our preview button, and then over the other side we have mirror lockup, which again is a nice feature. So again, it certainly shows that this is aimed, or was aimed at professionals, if you like, with these number of features. So let's just put the lens back on by aligning the two red dots, which is over there. And then on the top plate we have let's get the handle, our film advance, our film counter, our shutter actuation button. Sorry, I should have done that, should I? There we go. And we can lock that, so prevent accidental exposures. And then we have our shutter dial. Shutter speeds go from 1/1000th down to B. If we set it to A, now there is a little button here which again locks that. When we set it to A, the camera is effectively an aperture priority camera, so looking through the lens, through the viewfinder, we see the shutter speeds and the needle, and that will move dependent on what aperture we set. So it really is an aperture priority in that sense. I found the meter to be quite good, actually, quite accurate in when it's set to automatic. The only downside is that when I go to manual, the shutter dial doesn't seem to correspond to the actual viewfinder. There's about 2 stops out, so when it's set to 500 in the viewfinder, I'm seeing it as 125, so I have to bear that in mind. We have a battery test button with a little red light, if you can see that. And then our film rewind crank, which we lift up, put our film in, no DX coding, we're in manual mode, and then a couple of ports for flash synchronization depending on what you're using, and hot shoe. And that's pretty much it really. As I say, very solid, very much like the Spotmatics in that sense. But a real pleasure to use, and certainly combined with these lenses it's a real joy. So that's the Pentax K2, and that has been camera number 352 of 365.